Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. I'm Mike Good of Togetherness, and I'll be your host today. Welcome to this Togetherness Empowerment class, where I provide training to empower you to fight back against dementia. These classes are interactive, so let's get things started by having you type into the chat on the right-hand side of your screen and let me know where you're from and what your role is with dementia: family, friend, professional. Don't be shy. And as I always say, your interaction helps reduce my anxiety because I know things are working. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for everyone for being here. And with Deona, thank you for showing up, South Carolina. I'm excited and happy you're here because today I think together we're going to redefine how dementia care training is provided for family caregivers at home. During this class, I'm going to discuss how to change enrichment, where you will personally feel the benefit to your physical and emotional health. Hey there, Susan. Hi, Jane. It's great to see everybody coming in. No matter how great the care is that you provide, if you don't take action, your home is likely working against you. And you don't need that. You spend the vast majority of your time at home, so shouldn't you invest in it to make it a place of comfort and happiness? Hi, Mary, Joanne, Jane. Hi, everybody. It's great to see it filling up. I assume if you're here, your current home environment is much more stressful than you would prefer. You may not even want to go home sometimes, or you want to run away. Very common in this situation. But let's imagine for a moment, if you could return it to even a portion of what it was like before dementia, a place where you would be happy to go home to, a place where you and your loved one are happy together, a home that meets your needs and promotes good health and well-being. Seems like a good vision to strive for, and I know it's not easy. In fact, it's extremely complicated, but I'm here to help. And if you downloaded and completed the Is My Home Dementia Ready checklist, but you're still attending this class, I'm going to assume that you discover there are many things you still need to do to get your home dementia ready. And I understand because it's likely that you're spending a significant amount of time simply trying to survive while keeping your loved ones safe and happy. When I look at the checklist, I realize how daunting a task it is. So we have to step together to be successful. You're no longer alone. Now let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how dementia ready is your home? Even if you're a professional, imagine you have a loved one with dementia. Is your home dementia ready? My goal is to help you get your head above water and get to a place where you can help your loved one thrive and live at home longer, all the while giving you the benefits of having better peace of mind and health, a more relaxed atmosphere, and less anger and frustration. I hope that sounds like the right course of action. And if it does, make sure you stick around to the end of the class for a special offer I have just for you, where we will work together one-on-one to keep your loved one home longer, safer, and happier. Just want to give a shout out to Melody, Delane, Vicky, Bonnie, Mary. It's all great to see you here. Now I get a lot of feedback from my subscribers asking for help with their unique situations. And I like to point people to quality resources to help empower them. However, I'm constantly disappointed by the lack of quality training available for people caring for a loved one at home. Sure, you can watch YouTube videos, read articles, or if you're available during the day, attend a training course offered by one of the big organizations. But who has time for that? And when you're done, you're on your own again. So you can't blame yourself if your home environment is contributing to safety, behavioral, or environmental or emotional issues, because as you know, this is the toughest situation a person can find themselves in. This is more demanding than our careers, that many of us paid thousands of dollars towards an education to improve our skills and get a degree. Yet we attempt to do it on our own without formal training. When I think about the millions of people with dementia at home, I worry about their situation. And due to the unique and demanding challenges you face caring for someone at home, is not always the best for the person with dementia or for you, the caregiver. And I say this because most caregivers are unable to provide the balanced level of care, quality, memory care community can provide. And if you checked out the resource I provided when you registered, you discovered that the average memory care community in the United States costs about $60,000 annually. And you don't want average, you want the best. However, that's going to cost much more. But if we work together, maybe then when the time does come, there will be more money available to get them the great professional care they deserve. Plus, I know you want to keep them home because you love them and nobody will care for them like you do. But that puts a lot of strain on you, both physically and emotionally. However, if we can take action by focusing on the 4 elements I'm going to discuss, you can reduce the strain and the associated fear, guilt, and anxiety. These 4 elements include safety, function or functionality, stimulation, and triggers. They all work together to create what I call a dementia-friendly home by helping the care partners, that's the person with dementia and you, the caregiver, live in a better harmony. The first 3, safety, function, and stimulation, all contribute or help avoid triggers, as we'll discuss throughout the show. Safety promotes independence and individualism while helping family members have peace of mind. Functionality empowers a person to complete tasks on their own with minimal assistance. Stimulation brings joy, lifts one's spirit, and results in feelings of purpose and accomplishment. Triggers result in unwanted behaviors and can be eliminated or avoided. Before we get into the details, I want to quickly share a situation which is of great inspiration for why I created this class and the subsequent 8-week course. Some of you might be able to relate to this. I read a post from a daughter who shared her experience on Facebook. Now, I don't know all the details. In fact, I don't know most of them, but she shared how she could see her father with dementia outside cutting up a tree with a chainsaw. I remember thinking, that's neat that he's still able to take care of his home. Because as you probably know, it is possible for people to continue doing many of the things they did before diagnosis for years. Kind of reminds me of Barry, I've changed his name, who's still woodworking more than 10 years into his diagnosis. To say how the day before she had to stop him from cutting through a live electrical cable because he was trying to fix something. Tell me in the chat, please, if you've been in a similar predicament in your care situation. You don't have to go into details, just put yes or no if you want. But what a difficult situation. I've thought about this a lot. And in fact, I have a friend from support group whose husband would also cut through electrical cables in order to fix things that actually weren't even broken until after he fixed them. But this is just an example of how all 4 elements need a way to find balance. You know, in my mind, Dad is following his instincts and purpose. So cutting the tree is stimulating and enriching for him. But knowing his judgment is off, is it safe? And is there a way to add a functional element to the home which makes this a safer situation? And if the daughter tries to prevent him, she'll likely trigger an undesirable behavior. Plus, we have to think, well, what triggered him to be cutting up the tree in the first place? And we'll come back to this scenario, although it seems extreme, but it happens as we go through the 4 elements of today. Yeah, so Ryan says, Rachel says, I've heard about people doing those kinds of things, and Tara with my mom and household cleaning. Oops, I got to make this bigger so I can see. stuff. Yep, yep. And Ryan, yeah, especially when mowing the lawn and going over the power cable. Yeah, it's tough. And you know, they're doing those things because they're instinctual. They're part of their purpose. So let's go ahead and let's get into, let's get started with safety. As mentioned, safety promotes independence and individualism because we want to allow them to keep doing those things. But we need caregivers that we're keeping them safe while they're doing that. Now, home safety is a very broad topic and could be a multi-week course in itself. In fact, all these top elements could be a multi-week course, but it can cover everything from fire safety to natural disaster preparedness, or have a focus on normal aging issues. For the most part, people with dementia and their caregivers aren't spring chickens. In fact, the majority are over 65. So aside from cognitive impairment, there are already age-related issues or risks to consider. For instance, in the States, the Center for Disease Control says that 1 in 3 people over 65 fall every year. And once you fall, the risk of falling again doubles. And every year, 2.5 million Americans over 65 are treated in emergency departments for fall injuries. In the chat, let me know if you've known an older adult who's fallen, and did they have a successful recovery or not? Oftentimes, it's the first issue that begins a spiraling of the decline, if you will. Safety may arguably be the most important of the 4 elements because our homes are our place of safety and security. It's that feeling coupled with love as to why I believe people want to go home. Now, modifications to the home can range from free, only requiring your time and energy, not really free, huh? To moderate, which might require a handyman and some minimal cost, to very expensive if you invest in your home by doing a remodel. Now, when considering options, I recommend you compare any of the cost to the high cost of a quality memory care community, and I think you'll see the rewards there. I'm going to check the chat real quick. The hardest thing for Tara is keeping her safe, but I feel like I'm infantizing. Yes. I can't say the word, but I know what you mean. That's and Rachel, they never seem to come back as high as they were before the fall, and that's why we want to try to prevent it. That's why we want to do everything we can and prevent it. Now, yeah, Rachel function. Yeah. Now, it's going to be impossible to ensure complete safety and no fair putting your loved one in a bubble wrap. But seriously, you can take actions to reduce the hazards, and by doing so, you will help them prolong their independence and individualism. This added peace of mind should also help alleviate your need to constantly keep an eye on them. That gives you more me time. As I mentioned, you're not going to be able to prevent every situation, so you must be prepared in case something happens. In my upcoming course, I share tools and guidance to help ensure your loved one receives the best care possible in case of a medical situation. Many of the tools I provide in my course, I had to specially create because I couldn't find the right ones for you. So if you ever need something, let me know and we'll look into fixing that. Your home should also have basic items such as a fire extinguisher, flashlight, and a recent photo of your loved one in case of emergency. There's no excuse these days to not have a picture of a loved one. Being prepared can be the difference in a good outcome and a bad outcome. And if you're caring for a loved one with unique needs, such as dementia at home, you must be properly prepared. Now, of course, when adapting your home for dementia, you want to anticipate and prevent issues before they happen. And there are paid professionals who will come into your home, perform an assessment, and help you implement change. If it's within your means, I highly recommend seeking help from these professionals in conjunction with taking my course. I'm curious if any of you have used professional service to improve your home's safety. If you want to share, let me know in the chat. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about webcams coming up, Tara. They're very beneficial and economical these days. The level of safety measure you must take, as with everything in dementia care, depends on your loved one's abilities or lack of abilities, however you want to look at it. And as the disease progresses, you have to adapt accordingly. Physical decline may result in an increased risk of fall, as we've kind of talked about, and cognitive decline may impact their ability to recognize dangers. The senses even decline, and for instance, can be affected, which of course leads to its own set of issues. When you assess your home for danger, you must be sure to include both the indoors and the outdoor areas. I want you to make sure they have access to the outdoors, even if it's supervised. The outdoors, it's just good for the soul. I have an article, Becky, on my website, but there's a couple of organizations that I can recommend. I'll have to answer you offline because I don't have those right at the top of my head. Yeah, there are occupational therapists I recommend. There's some interior designers such as my consultant, who happens to be my wife, who are specialized in helping older adults. And it's harder to find some that are more sensitive to the unique issues of dementia. But that article I have, I do share those. Some of the things you need to look at in your home include inadequate lighting, trip and slip hazards, non-edibles which may be consumed, dangerous appliances or tools, and access to dangerous areas or items. In my course, I go through each of these in greater detail, and we'll do a room-by-room look, but we don't have time for that in this short hour. And after which, I also provide an assessment and action plan guide, which I think is what you have to do. Now, before you start going through your home and removing everything or locking it away, understand that your actions will likely possibly trigger undesirable behavior, which we'll further discuss on your element 4 on triggers. Think back to my chainsaw example and how the daughter was in a situation where she wants her dad to be safe, but her actions might trigger unwanted behavior when he fights for his independence. And I can't help but think what would have happened if Barry's parents would have kept him from his wood lathe years ago, because he's making wonderful things and it gives him purpose and meaning in life. And I think it's one reason he's probably beating the disease, if you will. Let me know in the audience, what would you do? Would you hide the chainsaw? Would you expect dad to become frustrated and angry, or would you expect him just to accept it and move on when he can't find the chainsaw? It's a complicated situation, but every family is going to go through it. I have some suggestions that I share, and we'll get into those here in a little bit. And the main point is you must find a way to bring things into balance. And that's not easy when you're in the thick of it and you don't have someone to brainstorm with. Yeah, we got to watch out for chemicals, and it really depends on where your loved one's at in the disease. There are also a lot of inexpensive product ideas which can also improve the safety of the home when adapting your home for dementia. This includes many of the products commonly used for childproofing a home, such as safety locks, for example. I have to say, I just bought a book called Alzheimer's Proofing Your Home. I haven't even cracked the cover. It's about that thick. It's over 500 pages. And it's got a lot of great stuff in there, but I don't think it's possible to Alzheimer's proof a home. So while the title's clever, I really don't think it's possible because it's just too complicated. And I think you have to continually keep updating and modifying. Anyway, but there are also, and someone mentioned webcams earlier, there are also inexpensive sensors and cameras that caregivers have told me helped their situation. Now, I don't have a loved one with dementia living with me. I actually don't have a loved one with dementia at all. But I have a $40 camera and Wi-Fi camera that I can easily move around the house. And this allows me to let my house cats outside while still being able to work at my desk. I get a video feed on a tablet I have off to the side, and that just helps me be able to be free. And I know a lady, a caregiver, who has a similar setup for her dad, and it works wonderful for them. Now, one of my bonuses I'm providing my students is to help them save time and money are detailed product recommendations related to each of the 4 elements we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to take a peek at chat. Yeah, Jane, it's a little hard in this course because I had to cut so much material out, but I do have resources on Together in this, and if you happen to sign up as a student for my oncoming course, you'll definitely get those recommendations. And Tara says, I found I can usually find a reason to explain what we're doing that she will accept and even go along with happily. That's great. I might try substituting an axe or try using the chainsaw instead. Yeah. It's complicated. I've thought of things like taking the gas out of it and just saying to him, oh, we're going to have to go get some gas and getting him onto some other purposeful, safer thing. So safety is the first element covered because an unsafe home can lead to harm of either you or your loved one. And this can speed up the decline and create your financial situation when you have medical bills. As such, ensuring a safety should be an ongoing goal. So I'm going to move on to, yes, you have to be creative and adapt constantly. I'm going to move on to function. And function has a pretty specific meaning in the interior design world. And my interior design consultant doesn't necessarily like how I tweak the definition a little for dementia care, but I think you'll better understand why. Functionality is a home's ability to meet the needs of the resident. With functionality, the person is empowered to safely complete tasks, chores, hobbies, anything like that on their own with minimal or no assistance. Much as Barry uses his wood lathe, he's been empowered. Now, needs might be physical, such as the need to reach the glasses on the upper shelf. Emotional, such as the school teacher whose dementia is more advanced and feels the need to go to work every day, although she hasn't worked in decades. Your goal as a caregiver is to create an environment which prolongs their ability to perform these activities of daily living, and a home that helps them maintain a sense of purpose, as in the case of our school teacher. All of this while having the home work for you as well, because it's just as much about you, the caregiver. Now, a non-functional element, such as reaching for the glasses I talked about, puts people in danger or hinders their ability to perform a task. And this can result in injury, frustration, anger, and even depression. For instance, if the person with dementia can't find things, or the school teacher isn't permitted to go to work, what emotions will they feel? And sometimes there's just too much stuff in the house, or too many choices. Or for you, the care partner, maybe laundry items are hard to get to, or the bathroom is too small to safely assist your loved one. In these instances, the home is not working for either of you. Let me know in the chat, on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how functional do you think your home is? Don't forget to reference your cheat sheet if you need to. Now, homes are basically built cookie cutter, and it seems to be getting worse. And when we're younger, that lack of doesn't impact us as much. But if you want to live longer and safer in your home, it has to be adapted to meet everyone's changing and unique needs. Much like safety, the level of intervention will either be small, medium, or large. Also, as with safety, you want to perform an assessment to identify and prioritize areas of the home that are not meeting the needs of the care partners, you and your loved one. Yeah, Cindy, 1. And you're being brutally honest, and I imagine if I look around my house, and I'd probably say it's a 1 also. And I think even getting it to a 7, as such as maybe Brian says he has, that's a tough and takes work. And but we're going to help get there. So let's start by documenting the daily routines of both you and your loved one. And as you perform the assessment, you want to note the who, what, where, and you will determine the why they're doing something or not doing something, and the solution. I always recommend journals and logs to help with this stuff, this analysis or assessments, I should say, and getting to the bottom of things. But be sure you note anything that hindered either of you from completing something you wanted to do. Note anything that would have brought joy, but the home didn't provide, such as the inability to garden if you live in an apartment. Huge part of this is bringing that joy now. Mary, there was a cheat sheet that was in the welcome emails about downloading. It's just a way to assess the level of your home. And Becky, OT has made really helpful suggestions, and I think OTs are one of the most underrated or underutilized resources, occupational therapists, that caregivers can use. In my course, I share a person-centered profile that I created to help everyone in the care circle better understand the unique needs and desires and dislikes of your loved one and yourself, because again, this is just as much about you. I recommend using the profile to identify ways to create person-specific function and stimulation in the home. For instance, with our dad with the chainsaw, we want to look at his hobbies and interests and find ways to get him engaged in other areas that might be more safe. Now, I don't like to pin ideas or issues on a particular stage of the disease, so I address it more by symptom. For instance, short-term memory is obviously one of the first issues. And several of the people I know with dementia have improved their home's function by adding reminder systems. And of course, as the disease progresses, those reminder systems don't work as well, but just like everything in dementia, we have to adjust with the disease as we go. And we can't just assume something will or will not work. Also, labeling cabinets with images of what's in it sometimes helps people find things. I know some people with dementia who have done this successfully. Another thing people don't think about are landmarks in the home, which can be part of function. For instance, think about after you've lived in a home for a while, I bet you can navigate through it blindfolded, just using touch and hearing, maybe not even hearing, but you have a sense that kicks in and you can get through. But if someone came in and moved that key piece of furniture you reach for in the dark, you may become confused. Something like this may affect your loved one with dementia during the day or the night because they use it for wayfinding as an identifier to where they're at. So we want to be careful if we move things for safety or other reasons. We want to be careful to observe how they may react to that. And in my course, I go into more detail on this, the spatial awareness aspect of that, and how we can also use colors can help with wayfinding and empowering a person to use things properly longer. There's so much to talk about. I had to take a lot of stuff out of this 1 hour here. So I apologize for not being able to go into greater details. But let's talk about our school teacher for a moment. Everyone wants purpose and a feeling of accomplishment. In her instance, her purpose is to go to work and teach, but the home isn't adapted to meet her needs. Setting up a work area for her or anyone else with dementia is a good idea. Everyone needs a place to mess around with their stuff. An engineer, for instance, might need an area with math and physics books. Of course, they're not likely going to use them to invent something, but they set a mood that's needed for the engineering mind. And then add in something safe for them to tinker with. Now we're broaching over, if you've noticed, this added function also creates stimulation because all the elements work together and overlap a lot. You know, maybe dad who was cutting up the tree would rather tinker with an old radio instead of using the chainsaw. You know, just make sure you be aware of electricity or if it's got power, so we don't want someone shocking themselves. But most of us engineer types are happy just taking something apart, even if we can't get it back together. Yeah, the use of whiteboards and reminders like that can actually be very beneficial. And even the caregivers need reminders, right? Because you've got so many things going on. So yeah, as mentioned, the home also needs to be functional for you, the caregiver, and for you as a caregiver and as a resident in the home. Two different things. Caregiving is like a job. Being a resident is more of your relaxed enjoyment time, right? And maybe you like to, maybe you like to read in bed, but you can't let your dad or mom out of your sight. A compromise might be setting up a good reading light by the sofa so you can stretch out and read while dad tinkers with his radio. We got to find ways to make the home work for you as well. And it won't likely be simple. None of this, and I never mean to imply anything is simple in dementia care, but you have to try. You have to try different things and adapt and be creative, as someone said, until you discover what works. And don't give up. And you, as mentioned, you also have caregiving needs. And this generally involves items which help you help them, such as a handheld wand for washing in the bath, a toilet seat with riser with arms, a bed alarm and sensors so you know if they're getting in or out of bed. The baby monitors have been around for probably decades and are used a lot with families caring for a loved one with dementia. A utility tub for pre-washing. Maybe if you can get a utility tub put in the garage so you can pre-wash clothes when there's an accident or something. But remember, your goal with function is to create an environment which prolongs their ability to perform activities of daily living, such as home maintenance, preparing meals, bathing, dressing, hobbies, while also having it work for you. And also, in our school teacher example, helping create purpose. And a big benefit of making the home functional is it helps your loved one stay stimulated, safe, and probably will reduce some triggers. So hopefully you're starting to see how these four elements work together to either be in balance or cause a wobbly situation. So I'm sorry I can't get to everyone's chat. I'm happy you are chatting and sharing ideas. The best ideas come from other caregivers. There's no doubt about it. I got to step it up a little, though, because I'm falling behind already. So best laid plans. So stimulation. Stimulation brings joy, lifts one's spirit, and results in accomplishment, much like function. But fostering a stimulating environment is not easy by any means. And well, none of this is easy. But providing or maintaining stimulation quite often requires direct caregiver participation. And it's hard to give someone your full-time attention, as you know. Your goal is to create an enjoyable environment where your loved one feels a sense of purpose and accomplishment. And this is another step towards reducing those undesirable behaviors. Now, the home, it must include activities they enjoy and want. Forcing someone to do something against their will always have negative consequences, and we'll touch upon that in Module 4 coming up on triggers. But it should be an opportunity for exercise as well and or movement. It's good, we got to get the joints and arms moving. It needs to provide some sensory stimulation for the sounds, smells, touch, and it needs to promote a social aspect. Now, I'd like to know on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, let me know how stimulating you think your home is. And don't forget to reference that cheat sheet if needed. And maybe it's time to reiterate quickly how everything depends on your loved one's abilities. And while some people still do hobbies more than a decade into their diagnosis, many decline much quicker. So you can't try to pigeonhole or pin it to a stage, in my opinion. You must You must focus on the remaining abilities and not deficits. This is hard, but you must find the point where they are still being challenged but not failing to the point where it's a negative stimulation. Very hard. And you want to think long-term and avoid repeatedly using short-term fixes such as using the TV as a sitter. Now, however, if Oprah or Wheel of Fortune makes your loved one happy, then by all means, they deserve to be able to enjoy it. But if dad's been watching the same John Wayne movie for 4 weeks, you need to break it up and introduce other elements of stimulation. Yeah, I'm seeing Cindy saying a 2, Tara a 5, and Mary's just an interested PT, which is awesome, awesome. And I mean, it's not that your homes are low on the scale, but neat that we have a PT here. And I want to help you get your numbers up. 7, 8, if we can, you know, where you feel. I did point us to get you feeling better about that. Now, short-term fixes are likely to trigger an undesirable behavior in one way or another. For instance, dad with the chainsaw will likely become bored and need to find a purpose to satisfy his need to be productive, and this may put him in danger. Now, in my opinion, stimulation starts with inclusion and creating purpose. You want your loved one to be involved in your daily routines. Now, I don't mean hanging on your apron, although I know shadowing is an issue. But I found this quote about inclusion in an article. Even if a person's dementia is so advanced where they can't focus or sing the song, the fact they're sitting in a group holding the book makes them feel like they're part of something. And I've seen that firsthand when I volunteer at the local adult day center. It's that socialization. And this is one of the many significant benefits I believe a memory care community provides, is this inclusion and social aspect. And it's hard to duplicate at home. Now, some stimulating activities are directly related to the activities of daily living, such as shopping, home maintenance, bathing, and dressing. And by empowering your loved one to perform and accomplish these tasks by silently assisting them, and I elaborate on that concept in my course, you're allowing them to feel purpose and success, which is very stimulating to our emotions and spirit. Now, you must provide praise and support even when things are not done to your expectations, and you must reconsider what success means to you, because something like putting a shirt on backwards is not a failure, and it should not be pointed out. It's also very important to include fun stimulation from things such as hobbies, games, being social, etc. So let's quickly look at some areas of opportunity for creating stimulation, which are more enjoyment-based. And I'm going to pick the easiest one. But music, it's easily the most encompassing and possibly most enriching of them all. There's auditory stimulation, reminiscent stimulation, good and bad. Physical stimulation, also known as exercise when you start dancing. Tactical stimulation from touching instruments, tambourine, maraca, even a guitar. And of course, there's a social and spiritual element. Art has also been shown to be great. And it's much like music, it touches on several aspects of the soul and spirit. And I think it's really neat how people who've never painted come up with terrific works. Now, let me know in the chat if you're experiencing the positive aspects of music or arts. I just want to show one of the first things that inspired me was when I went to a silent auction at a memory community and saw all the great artwork. And I got this cool picture. And it's by a lady that had never painted before. And, you know, to me, I think that's better than a lot of the Picassos, probably all the Picassos. At least I feel that way. It's very inspiring to me, and it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. Hobbies, I really wanted to go into hobbies, but I'm running out of time. Hobbies are instinctual, they're ingrained in our DNA. You always want to try to foster their hobbies, and as they can find they can't do hobbies, you want to give them elements from them. In the instance of our woodworker, I would have pieces of wood around for him to play with, sandpaper nearby, For the lady that used to crochet or needlepoint, you want to have, yarn or stuff like that that reminds her of it. And, I also want to say, try to find a box of personal items from their past and bring that out. Let them look through it, see what interests them, get ideas, bounce that against your person-centered profile, and don't hesitate. Once you do find something, don't hesitate to repeat the things that enrich them when adapting your home for dementia. Remember, your goal is to foster an environment that brings joy, lifts one's spirit, and results in feelings of purpose and accomplishment. Now, I apologize that I'm starting to rush, but I'm already, I can't believe it, 8 minutes behind. And I'm an engineer, so I've mapped it all out. But we have to adapt. So I'm sure I'm missing some great comments over here. I appreciate people sharing. Ryan, the shirt backwards, I've got a couple suggestions. You can tell them how great they look in another shirt, and you might want to say, I want to take a picture of that in that, or you want to, why don't we wear a sleeveless or a different type of shirt? Maybe I see you in it. Things a little more subtle like that. But if they're leaving the house, you have to ask yourself, what's wrong if they're wearing the shirt backwards in the house? But if they leave the house, you want to protect their dignity, right? So that's when you want to really address the shirt. Art books, yep. So retired art teacher. Up the yin yang. That's great. That's great, Bonnie. All right, let me get back on track here. All right, let's get on to triggers. Triggers, again, result in unwanted behaviors and can often be eliminated or avoided. And during today's discussion on the first three elements, you've probably noticed how they are all either working together or creating friction that is possibly creating undesirable behavior. So by focusing on the first three elements, safety, functionality, and stimulating environment, you can minimize many of the unwanted behaviors associated with dementia. But there's still going to be other causes in the environment which trigger these behaviors. First, let's talk about the double standard here, because you have to reset your mind. I've learned a lot from my friend and colleague, Susan McCauley, of My Alzheimer's Story on this matter. And she's written several articles on this double standard about how the behaviors of those of us without dementia, what we do on a daily basis, are acceptable or accepted. But when done by a person with dementia, they're deemed bad and unacceptable. Things such as defending our independence or walking about, which is often incorrectly referred to as wandering, are seen as bad. And I believe this is because most of us don't know how to interpret what is occurring, and as a result, we don't know how to alleviate the situation. Instead of looking at the behavior as bad, you must look for what in the environment is out of sync for them. Work to understand what is triggering the behavior, or learn to embrace the behavior. For instance, if Dad keeps exiting the house and you keep finding him in the yard with the chainsaw, of course you'll be afraid that he's going to get hurt or become lost. But if you look at it, the primary trigger in the situation is probably his instinctual desire to take care of the house. But if as a result of your fear you find ways to keep him locked inside with his John Wayne movie, you've created another trigger because he will likely become bored, angered, who knows. And maybe a simple answer here would be to have that wood, that timber, removed so he wouldn't need to see it. So he wouldn't feel the need to do it himself, out of sight, out of mind. Or embrace it by silently assisting him with this activity. To embrace a behavior, you must find a way that allows your loved one to do something while keeping your stress under control. That might mean a secure yard with that Wi-Fi camera we were talking about, so you can keep an eye on them while working at your desk. And as I mentioned, there are many causes in the home environment which trigger unwanted behaviors in the way a person behaves, whether they have dementia or not. This includes physical aspects as well as the people around them, you. These triggers often result in confusion, overwhelm, anger, and many emotions. But it's up to you to pay attention, identify, and eliminate them. Because against popular belief, although they may seem out of the blue, there's generally a cause. You may never figure it out, though. But having a second set of eyes or ears will help. And I want to give an example of how difficult it can be. Now, I read a story about how a gentleman's wife would suddenly get up from the chair, walk over to the visitor, and smack them in the forehead. Apparently, this behavior happened more than once. The husband wrote how it took him months to discover that at a certain time of day, if a person was sitting there, a reflection would be on their forehead. So she was probably killing a bug or something. But since he paid attention, he was eventually able to eliminate the trigger and avoid the behavior. And this was a lighting/reflection kind of trigger. Now, in my course, I go into depth, but as mentioned, most if not all behaviors have a root cause. And at the top of the list, it's probably your demeanor and how you work with them. And I'm no saint here, so I'm not trying to imply any of this is going to be easy either. But I'll go into depth. In my course, I'll go into more depth about how your emotional vibe often dictates the behavior of those around you. This is a good place to start looking and shouldn't be ignored. I'll also go more in depth about how to approach and work with your loved one as opposed to forcing your agenda, as Connie Bohager said in the last empowerment training class we had. But let's also look at eliminating other triggers so your emotional vibe doesn't go south to begin with. And the number of triggers is endless, and we could talk for days. But some of the things you want to pay attention to include lighting, extra sounds and stimuli, the layout of the home, like we talked about the missing furniture, location items and the ability to find them, visitors, boredom. Maybe you're in their personal space and they just want some room. Medication should definitely be looked at by their psychiatrist. And as mentioned, it can be several factors. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go into them, but one of the examples I like to talk about is modern or abstract art, which can be very confusing and trigger issues. And if that's suspected, I recommend replacing that art with images that have reminiscence or interest values. For instance, pictures of outdoor scenery or national parks might be of great interest to the outdoorsman and may remind them of past adventures. So in this case, we've removed a trigger and we've replaced it with something that's stimulating. So remember, reframe your view and learn to focus on the trigger, not the behavior. Now, there are a lot of environmental triggers which can cause unwanted behavior. So work to eliminate the trigger or learn how to adjust to the behavior, such as we did for Dad, helping Dad with the yard work. Yep, Susan's great. We definitely have some previous courses done by Susan that would go into some of this in detail a little more. But today we've discussed the 4 elements that need to work together with the care partners, that's you and your loved one, to create the dementia-friendly home. And we discovered a lot of these topics. We've covered a lot in these topics, and I know, and I don't have to tell you how complicated and draining it can be. Now, you still see your loved one as who they once were. You still see your loved one as who they once were, a person with so much to offer, with so much spirit, and so much love to share. You may be feeling like it's all slipping away out of your control. And you probably know in your heart that a memory care community might be able to give them the things you can't, but it breaks your heart to even consider this option. Maybe you've made the promise, or you can't afford the high cost of memory care. But what if you could more easily implement the strategies and techniques we discussed today to make your home environment more beneficial, like memory care, but still in the home they love? I truly believe you can with the right information and guidance. Now take a moment. Imagine yourself with less stress and more peace of mind, having maximized their well-being while also protecting yours. I'm sure that's something everyone wants. So are you excited about how together we can create a home environment that brings your life, the life of your loved one, and your relationship back into balance? You're probably tired of trying to figure it out on your own and continuing to be in a constant state of worry and anxiety. And if you showed up here today, you want change. And once you have the guidance you deserve, along with a blueprint for change, you will succeed. That's why I created a course that's just for you. So do you want to know how we can work together to create an environment to keep your loved one home longer, safer, and happier? Well, welcome to a new way of learning in dementia care with the Adapt Your Home for Dementia 8-week online course. This course is 4 modules which covers in detail each of the elements we've talked about today. And each module teaches you how to identify issues and take action. The course kicks off with Module 1 on safety, where our goal is to create an environment that promotes independence and individualism while creating peace of mind for you. Together, we will look at each area of the home to identify issues and incorporate dementia-specific safeguards. You will also receive 2 specially created tools to help you be prepared for a medical situation, as well as inexpensive product suggestions that will save you time and energy as you work to improve the safety of your home. In Module 2 on function, you will learn how to apply a person-centered focus to increasing confidence and prolong independence by empowering your loved one to complete tasks on their own with minimal assistance. We'll look at strategies used by professionals to help people with unique needs get more from their home and learn simple solutions you can implement immediately. Module 3 is all about creating a stimulating environment that brings joy, lifts spirit, results in feelings of purpose and accomplishment. You will learn how to make all of this a regular ingredient of your daily activities. You'll also learn how to You'll also discover long-term fixes to improve harmony, and we'll dig into how inclusion and silent assistance can help a loved one be successful. And there's so much more. Now, weeks 7 and 8 of the course wrap up with Module 4 on environmental triggers, which result in unwanted behaviors and can often be eliminated or avoided. You'll get an in-depth look at how your home is contributing to their behavior and quite possibly their decline. You will learn how to identify many common triggers along with techniques to eliminate them. And I'll show you key areas of the home to focus on as well. As you complete each module, you'll experience more emotional balance as you start to feel a sense of accomplishment that reduces your stress and guilt from not doing enough. Your home will become more relaxed and enjoyable. And you will have the security to know you're maximizing their well-being. You get complete access of all 4 modules, which includes 8 video-based lessons spread over 8 weeks. This includes 24/7 access to the online training portal for a minimum of 1 year. Each module also includes achievable homework assignments to help you put this information into action. This homework's not turned in. It's there to help you, guide you. But I will answer questions to help you. Each module also includes premium bonuses. Bonus 1 includes each lesson in both audio and written formats. Everyone learns differently, and it's important you find the method that works best for you. Along with the video-based lesson, you receive access to audio versions which allow you to listen and learn while on the go. You also receive complete transcripts, allowing you to read the lesson and highlight key points. With Bonus 2, you get specially created and selected materials. You can't be successful unless you take action. The additional materials complement the topic. And allow you to further expand your understanding of the topic. Bonus 3 is ongoing email support. I'm here for you, always. If you get stuck or need help with your unique situation, I will be standing by, ready to help. Most responses will be within 24 hours and will likely be much quicker, excluding weekends and holidays. Now, bonus number 4 It's bound to save you time and money when you take advantage of the product suggestions you will receive. There are many inexpensive products that can help improve your situation, but the choices can be overwhelming. I have narrowed down the choices for you and have created a shopping experience that will save you additional time and money. Now, I'm not selling the products. They'll all probably be through Amazon. And if that's not enough, for a limited time, this is the special offer I mentioned in the beginning. And thanks for sticking around to hear it. I'm offering 30 minutes of one-on-one strategy time with Mike. That's me, by the way. And you can use this all at once or break it into 2 15-minute sessions. This will be via phone or video chat if you prefer, and done at your convenience. Now the total value, are you ready, is $3,200, maybe more. Each lesson alone is worth $150, and that's times 8 lessons, without factoring in bonuses. And ongoing email support is at least a $500 value, and customized worksheets and resources are about a $1,000 value. But because of the satisfaction I receive as your instructor, knowing I'm helping families, I'm offering it at a price I know is well below its value. Initially, this course is going to be priced at about $397 or more. But because you're here supporting me for a limited time, I'm offering a friends and family price where you can get it for the low investment of $347. And if anyone's still there, I'm assuming all the risk with my 30-day money-back guarantee. I'm confident that if you do the work, you will see positive and possibly dramatic improvement in your home. Ordering is super simple, as I'm using PayPal, which lets you either use a PayPal account or a debit or credit card. Since you will have unlimited access for the next year at a minimum, you don't have to get started right away, even if you purchase today to secure your price and your 30 minutes with Mike. So that's a 24/7 access to all 4 modules, which includes 8 lessons with customized resources and materials, includes all bonuses, including email and phone support. And for a limited time, you get this $3,200 value for an early bird price of $347. Now click the pop-up that I'm going to put to go over and enroll now and secure this price and your free 30 minutes with Mike. Thank you for staying. I'm happy you listened to this. I really think this training is going to change the way dementia care training is provided for Alzheimer's families and dementia families. I'm excited about it. It's been a couple years in the making, and I'm really hoping that together we can bring your home into more balance. Now, if you have any questions, I'll be sticking around to answer all of them. I'm going to glance through there now. You guys are having a good chat, I can see. That's wonderful. Yeah, meds and touching. And if you do have a question, you can highlight it as you type with it'll pop up a thing where you can mark it as a question so I won't miss it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tara. I'm going to try to find ways to get sponsorships to get the price down, but so you might be asking, is this worth the money? You got to ask yourself, you spend the majority of your life at home, so what's the price of having a more relaxed home environment, which improves your overall well-being? And can you put a price on safety and happiness of your loved one? One trip to emergency room will cost far more than this course. Now, by investing in yourself also, and by implementing the strategies taught in the course, you'll be reducing risk and care needs, which should result in lower expenses related to the care of your loved one. If anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to ask them in chat. And you may be thinking, you know, I don't have time to do this now. But because you have a minimum of 1 year to complete the course, you can buy now for a reduced price and start at your convenience. This entire course is set up to do at your own pace also. So whether it's 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., it will be there for you. I just may not answer your email until a little earlier later in the day for me. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Tara. And you might be wondering, is there really anything inside this course that you don't already know or you can't find online for free? Well, let's be honest. You can probably find anything you want online, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. I've spent hundreds of hours researching and gathering the best information. And this course is about more than providing information. It's about providing guided support to help you succeed. Much like going to school, we could just go to the library, but we paid for structure, discipline, and to have a knowledgeable instructor guide us. And maybe you've tried making changes, but it's been too overwhelming. And you want to know how this will be any different. Because there's no other course like this out there, there's really nothing to empower you to be successful. Reading a book, watching a video, or attending a seminar are good starts, but at the end of the day, who will be there to answer your questions and provide guidance? This course provides one-on-one support with resources to help you take knowledge and turn it into results you can see, feel, and enjoy. You're welcome, Ryan. I appreciate everyone participating. If you know somebody that could benefit from it, please let them know about the core class. They can sign up for the replay. The replay will be available for a short period of time. And so many things going through my head. I really want to help as many people as possible. Thanks, Connie. Appreciate that. The sales page, or the registration page, has some testimonials on there, which are related to the first course I've gave. And so as soon as I get people taking this, hopefully I'll get some good similar courses as well. And I'm going to pop up. I know I'm running long, and I apologize, but this may actually open a link to the tab on your computer. May open up a link to the page if you're in doubt on how to get there. All righty. Well, unless anyone has any further questions, I'm going to stick around for a minute, but that pretty much concludes everything. I appreciate everybody. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be looking through the chat offline to see what I missed and try to get back to you if you asked any questions or not. So thanks, everybody. Yeah, the volunteering, I'm not doing it right now. And I assume you mean, Judy, I assume you mean you volunteered too. It is, it's a tremendous experience. It's changed my life. I have, Vicki. I've put a lot of devotion and energy into it. I don't even want to admit how much, but I'm really, really disappointed by, when there's 27,000 new cases of dementia every day. I'm really disappointed about the resources out there to help empower those people that are living at home and struggling on a daily basis, and often underestimating the amount of strategy, knowledge, all of that it takes to be successful. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate it. See you next time.